You're right, because you're right. We do this back projecting, and we have rose tinted view of our Islamic history. Like they were all of these guys, these kings or rulers, they were all saints, and they were all praying 5 times a day, and they all had everything in order. Like I remember when I was in university, and we had this lecture, this Western guy giving a lecture on Salahuddin, right? And we were like, oh, we gotta go, but the crowd was mostly made up of like non-Muslims, right? Because he was a whatever, right? And me and my two Muslim friends go with it. Like, oh, okay, so we're sick. And it was an interesting lecture. And then he just made one joke. I think this was during the like Crusades. I can't remember. Sorry, he said two things that were really stuck with me.
Mm.
He said, "Oh, Salahuddin, he was fighting the Shias in Egypt, or something. He was killing the Shias, or something like that." And for me, the idea of a Muslim leader killing other Muslims, even if they're Shia, was like, that can't be right, because we don't do that, because we're good people. So that was number one. Number two, he said, oh, and Salahuddin used to love going to some part in Europe. He loved frequent going there because of the women. And I was
Yeah.
like, whoa, 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 whoa. Like all three of us looked at each other. Like, did he just say that? Like he's gonna diss our guy and say that he's having sex like outside of astaghfirullah, outside of marriage, and then just with like random women or whatever it is. So those two things was like, how could you do that? Like our mindset was so like, no, no, people of the past were way better than we are right now. And the fact is, I've never killed a Shia, and I've never slept with random women in my life. I've been with one woman my whole life. Right? So I was like, so I'm like, there's no way I could be morally better than someone like a Salahuddin, whatever it is. Sorry, go on.
Right.
You're gonna tell you. I
No,
know
I
you're
was
gonna
going to say,
jump
I
in
remember
there.
the
You're gonna
first
jump
time
in,
I
please.
came across Muslims fighting Muslims, the first fitna. I was reading, because I was very much interested in Islamic Spain. And I was reading, I can't remember. It's a very old work on Islamic Spain written in like 1859 by Reinhard Dozy. He's a Dutch guy or whatever, Orientalist. Yeah, he wrote
Mm,
it in 1859. It's translated in English. People can find it for free on PDF. But he starts off the story of Islamic Spain with, the story of the Prophet, and he moves from there. And so the first half of the book is just the life of the Prophet and what happened all the way up until Islamic Spain. And so that involves the first civil war. When I first came across that part, I was like, because at that time I didn't know anything about the first civil war. I heard about it, but I really didn't get
that's a
into
big
the
shock when you
details.
learn about that. You're like, whoa, whoa, whoa. We're on the same
Yeah.
team, guys. What's going on here? What's going on?
Oh man, and this guy was an Orientalist from the 1900s, so or from the
He was
19th
not
century. So
holding back any point.
yeah, so he wasn't holding back he wasn't pulling back any punches. So it just totally blew my mind,
Yeah.
and I really had to look into it. And yeah, there's Muslim works, more contemporary, that also go into the political affiliations and who chose what side. And it was mind blowing. But that
Yeah.
just for myself kind of was a testimony to the greatness of the Prophet. I mean, how was he able to keep all of these people in
Mm,
check during his lifetime? But soon as he died, and he didn't leave them with any kind of political theory either.
no.
You can say the Caliphate. I really actually lean more towards that the Imamate. And so even academic historians say that the Imamate seems to be the original political theory, and the Caliphate seemed to have been just a consequence of history. Um,
Ah.
and so,
So Imamate, just to make sure I'm on the same page, Imamate is the Shia version where it's passed down
but Ibadis
by
also
Ahlul
believe
Bayt.
in Imamate. Ibadis also don't have this Caliphate concept
So
of
so is
political,
the Imamate via the Ahlul Bayt?
not the Ibadi interpretation. Because the
Right.
Khawarij, one thing that they say about the Khawarij is that they didn't care who ruled. It didn't matter. So you know how the Sunni Caliphate Quraysh, anyone from the tribe of Quraysh can be the caliph, even though the Ottomans somehow. And then there's an interesting work on how. Anyway, but and then the Shias is more the family of the Prophet. Well,
Mm,
the Ibadis is whoever's the best man for the job,
right.
regardless of and that's what was the Khawarij political theory as well. That it doesn't matter off a tribe, and it doesn't matter off of family. It's the best man for the job, no matter who he is. And so a lot of people say
When
that's because
yeah.
the Khawarij
So go
came
go
from
sorry.
minority tribes. They came from
Right.
smaller tribes, so that's why they had that kind of political theory. But the Ibadis have an imamate concept as well. And I overheard a non-Muslim academic saying that he believed the Imamate was the original political theory of, if there was one. Now, mind you, you don't find in the Quran a way of setting up a government. All
No.
of these things came after, and as we know, the Muslims, the Arabs from Central Arabia had to adopt Persian style means of administration on one side, and Roman means of administration on, even to where they much rather had the non-Muslims go and collect taxes because they felt if I did it as an Arab, they would look at me, and then the other tribal beefs would
Yeah,
arise. And
yeah, yeah.
we
But
had a,
they're neutral. Yeah, yeah,
yeah,
yeah,
they're neutral. So
yeah.
Islam didn't come with this fully packaged. I mean, that's
No.
another thing that I get in trouble about as well, is like, I just want you to
I'm so
grasp.
tempted to. You've brought up so many different things. The first, the Zulkarnain, there was something else as well. But this whole Khilafat stuff, like this is such a juicy topic because I remember when I heard about this, when you first understand the whole fitna and like the Ali and the Imam and all this whole stuff, basic stuff, right? And then I was like, you know what? Like, this was me as a lowercase Sunni. I was like, you know what? I don't like the whole idea. Like, this is the Ahlul Bayt. Like, basically the rulers will be from the Ahlul Bayt. I'm like, that's just kind of like a monarchy kind of thing. It's like a bloodline kind of thing. Even if they're very pious, like what, 1,000 years on or 500 years on, they're still going to be pious. There's no absolute
And I mean,
guarantee of
and
that.
in the Quran, it refutes this whole idea of just because you're a part of the family of a righteous person, that you also have the same share in God's promise.
Of course, yeah,
I
yeah,
mean,
absolutely.
because Abraham asked that about his progeny.
There's so many prophets where their family members were just like complete opposite
Exactly.
yeah.
And I imagine
So this
that.
whole yeah,
I
absolutely,
mean,
yeah.
and look at the King of Jordan right now. A lot of people are upset. A lot of Muslims are upset with the King of
Oh,
Jordan.
he's an Ahlul Bayt as well, isn't he?
He's a
Yeah, he's Ahlul Bayt.
41st descendant of the
There
grandfather
you go. There you go.
of the prophet. Look at him.
Mashallah.
You know.
So yeah, so I never really liked that idea, right? But I was like, you know what? The Shias, and I wasn't aware of Ibadis at the time, so fair, I didn't really have an opinion on that. But the Shias have an answer, even though I don't like it. Now the Sunnis, other than shura bainahum or whatever, like they don't really have a proper answer. I didn't. I still don't think they have a proper, like the Shias have. They have their own. Oh, it's going to be this imam, this imam, this imam. Until imam. What's the Sunni answer?
I mean,
Nothing. I mean, it's what you gonna have a democracy? Oh no, we don't do voting. We'll just select the guy. How?
well, now
Who are these?
attitudes are changing. Yasser Qadi in his most recent talk on the Caliphate, he said he would like, or in his talk with Mustafa Akil,
Mustafa,
Mustafa
yeah,
Akil
yeah,
is
yeah.
he identifies as a Sunni but believes in democracy. Yasser Qadi said that he wouldn't mind seeing something like an Islamic democracy. You
Yeah, but
know,
you see, this is him saying this now.
yeah,
I'm saying the original, like going back to the original
yeah.
source.
We don't
There is
vote.
no,
Voting is shirk.
there is right. There is no original. This is what stumped me as a Sunni back then. Was wait,
Yeah,
I don't like the Shia answer, but they have an answer.
right,
We don't have an answer. And all we can do is say your answer is banned, but we have actually nothing to produce ourselves. And the only thing we can lean on is empire or some sort of European democracy. That's pretty much it.
right,
And I was like, damn. And then obviously now as an ex-Muslim, as an atheist, I would say, obviously you would disagree, but I'd love to get your opinion on this, would be that he didn't have an Muhammad himself didn't have an answer because maybe he thought after me this movement might just fizzle out, or maybe he didn't see beyond himself.
a
Like
Muslim historian. I'm probably, I don't want to say his name, drag him into this, but he
drag
said
him in.
that
I'm just joking. I'm joking.
he
Yeah.
he a well known. He said that he believed that Muhammad didn't think that Muhammad didn't believe that this Islam thing would
Live that this long.
yeah live this
Wow.
long, that and some people even say that they believe or some academics, and I think some Muslims believe this as well, that the Prophet Muhammad was a messianic prophet. And I think they say that because of the urgency in which he was trying to get his community to accept his mission, otherwise they were
Mm.
going to be destroyed. And so I don't know if his whole urgency came because he thought the end of the world was going to happen, or the end of his community was going to happen if they didn't accept his message. Mind you, that's the story we get in a lot of the stories of the prophets, is that they didn't accept the message, therefore they were destroyed, except for I think one Eunice. They accepted the message and they didn't get
Mm.
destroyed. And so, I think about it within the context, okay, maybe he saw that his community was going to be destroyed if they didn't accept his message. So maybe that's why, he did what he could to save his immediate community, and he didn't think as
Beyond.
far as. And so you have a really good book by a Muslim called Ali Abdul Razak. He wrote this book in 1925, right after the destruction of the Caliphate, and he's basically saying that Muhammad didn't come with a political theory, and that his whole leadership role was given by divine appointment, and you can't recreate that. Another man can't come
That's a fair
along.
point. I think that's a fair point. If you're gonna, yeah, no, I think that's a fair point. You can't recreate a prophethood to a non-prophet. It's impossible.
And so that's the basis. It's a very small book. I think like 120 pages. It's not even a big book, like 120
Mm,
pages. And he goes over all of his arguments that, the Muhammad, there's no hadith where Muhammad says how we're going to set up a government, nothing in the Quran where you can deduce a government from.
no.
And yeah, it tells you to obey the people who are uh, in leadership above you, the imam. And so there's no caliphate, and even the verses that they try to use, such as Ibn Kathir and that other Spanish Mufassir, I can't remember off the top of my head, Cortabi.
Could be, yeah, yeah.
Yeah, they try to use Surah 30, Surah 2, chapter 30 to say,
Yeah.
oh, because Phil RD Khalifa, God says, I'm going to appoint a caliph over the earth.
Fil Ardi Khalifa. Yeah, I remember
Yeah,
that.
yeah.
Yeah, yeah, I remember that.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
proof of a caliphate. That's not proof of a
that's
caliphate.
not proof of Khalifa.
So,
No.
man, even though I used to believe that. So,
Mm.
yeah,
So,
man.
sorry, go on, sorry, go.
Yeah. Long story short, I don't believe, and that's another thing that gets me in trouble. I don't believe that the prophet came with the in-depth political theory, even if he thought his community was going to outlast him for till infinity and beyond. I think that he kind of left it to our own devices, and what they kind of chose was a consequence of history, the Caliphate, and that Caliphate
Mm.
was styled after the neighboring empires. So, you know,